Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmeti Multiveda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Welcome, my friends. Tripura Rahasya. We're back at the page 109. Okay. So it was we may recall, we were having a profound discussion in regards to the nature of reality, and the author was presenting different schools of thoughts or philosophies, and proving them to be absurd, or mistaken. And then the universe cannot be an accident because of everything we know about that, the nature of pure sattva, pure intelligence, designed in such a manner that everything follows its nature. And then we can enjoy purposeful work, as we know, otherwise nobody would care to do anything. And that takes us to the conclusion that the results, they are linked with our actions, therefore there are merits and demerits, they must be included in this equation. And then we looked at the atomists, which believe that the matter itself, the 5 elements, are the very cause of the universe, as if the atoms or the elements would have intrinsic intelligence to bring about the universe. So it's very common, this confusion. Everybody in the scientific community have this confusion because the universe is intelligent, infused. It's infused with intelligence. It's intelligent design and operated. So we see that everything is so intelligent that we get the impression that the intelligence belongs to the very base of the universe, the atoms, So everything, when we start, looking into matter, energy, we say, wow, it seems to be alive. And then everybody tends to believe that aliveness, that reality belongs to matter, energy, but it does not. And that is the quantum loop that scientists cannot do because they don't believe in a creative force besides what can be seen and observed, you understand, with qualities and attributes and so on. Okay. The idea of the beginning of the creation is refuted by the Upanishads, by our Sampradaya. It is absurd to say that insentient atoms or matter or energy can be the cause of creation. And even if they bring about this new theory or speculation that the creation comes when the equilibrium is broken, And then there are these 3 basic energies that brings about the elements, the 4 elements. They present 4 elements because the space is too subtle for these people. They cannot conceive space because the space is too subtle. So they say, what, 4 forces, 4 elements coming from these energies. And then when something brings about the break of this equilibrium, and then we have the universe being projected, and then the cause is not the matter or the energies or the element. The cause is something that broke the equilibrium. You understand? So, and then there is something else. So it makes no sense. How this change of the equilibrium was brought about. Change is not possible without an intelligent cause. So there is always an intelligent cause behind any change, any phenomenon that occurs within the apparent manifestation. None of these systems can satisfactorily account for creation. The scriptures alone are the guide for comprehending the metaphysical and the transcendental. So you cannot really understand the metaphysical unless you bring into your view, it expands your view to bring about the transcendental nature, which is the transcendental. He is that which is beyond what can be objectified, okay, but can be comprehended with the help of the scriptures. So that is the bottom line. The rest of all these ideas, they don't have the authority, are not authoritative because of the individual's limitations. So these ideas, they come from people. They did not come for people, like the case of the revelations for humanity coming through the rishis. So this line of thought, these schools of thoughts, these philosophies, they come from people, and people, they have all sorts of limitations. And not only, there is no reliable test to put to test those philosophies, and the repeated failures of attempts which ignore God. So furthermore, they ignore the transcendental aspect of matter and energy of the universe. There is a transcendental, absolutely invisible aspect we call God, Ishwar. They simply ignore Sattva altogether. They even ignore Ishwara as a creator. They believe that it's just matter, and matter creates itself and keeps evolving. The universe must have a creator. That's the conclusion. And he must be pure intelligence, intelligent principle, but he cannot be an intelligent principle of any known type known by us. So we know so many intelligent principles that brings about creations, you know, creative people brings about all kinds of creations. And there are certain aspects to be observed with these creations. And then when we look at the way God creates the universe, we think in those human terms, but we cannot. So the way God creates the universe is something totally unusual, or it does not follow any one of the rules by which someone creates something immediate. So we know there are some examples of that. One of them is that the creator of something and the created thing are two different entities. They are never one entity. They remain as two. The creation of someone remains as an entity, and and in the case of the Ishwara, there is no distinction, because the creation is just a superimposition within Ishwara and lives from Ishwara, is sustained by Ishwara, and absolutely not apart from Ishwara. And that is a kind of a creation that can be explained here and there with some analogies, such as the one of the spider that creates the spider net out of itself, you know, and remains not separate from it, and not only it has the ability to pull it all in again. And we have other metaphors here and there. We know that the way Ishwara produced the world is different from any transformation of energy and matter. So we have the example of transformation, conversion of milk into cheese. When we have any conversion such as that one, we have something that it was created out of milk, but it became something altogether absolutely different from the milk. So the milk will never be seen in the cheese, and the cheese can never go back to the milk. And the creation of Ishvara is not a sort of conversion or transformation, because Ishvara allows these projections through its power called Maya, yet it's unaffected and it remains there, absolutely untouched by this creation. So at any time the creation can poof, and then Ishvara remains unaffected. So it's not like the cheese that cannot go back to its source as the milk. You understand? So there are several hints we get from our scriptures. But the bottom line is, when we come to try to understand the creation, there is no philosophy, there is no teaching that makes more sense than Vedanta, than the Upanishads, than the Gita. You understand? So we only if we are opening up to submit our minds, and then we see how elegant, how beautiful, how coherent these teachings are, and then we understand Satya Mithya, and then we understand Sattva Guna and the universe which comes from Satya, and the elements and the way Sattva Guna, being Ishvara, pure Sattva, is the knowledge, intelligence that keeps this universe going. Yeah? There is no creation without the creator. Therefore, the universe must have a creator. And he must be intelligent, an intelligent principle. But he cannot be of any known type because of the vastness. And here it presents another aspect. Have you seen anybody create something as vast as the universe? No. When Jivatma creates something, it's something very small. We've seen the scope of its environment and field of study and development and research. Yeah? So how can something create the entire vastness of the universe? His power is beyond the intellectual understanding, our intellectual understanding, and is dealt with in the scriptures only, whose authority is incontrovertible. What is the incontrovertible? Help me out.
It's not subject to controversy, I think is what it means.
Controversy, yeah, no contradictions or error. They speak, and the reason is not because we are people of blind faith. It's because, I mean, it makes so much sense in a way that there is nothing around here in the world that makes better sense than the scriptures explanation of Satya Mithya, in the way Satya is non-affected by Mithya. Okay, they speak of the unique creator, the Lord who was before creation, being self-contained. Yes, so it is a Lord that is self-contained. It does not require a raw product or a source of energy or books or libraries of knowledge to create the universe. How can something not need to study or go to some universal cosmic realms where there are libraries that then Ishvara is going to study and learn, and then he's going to borrow some raw materials, and then he's going to borrow some energies from a different source of energy, and then he creates the universe? No. So the creator is self-contained. It does not need any of that. Okay, he creates this universe by his own power. It is in its entirety and all its details a picture on the screen of himself, like a dream world on the individual consciousness. And then we understand how Ishvara creates this world. It creates this world without doing anything. It just reflects this world, okay? The same way the dream world is reflected in Jivatma's mind on a certain state. So Ishvara is going to reflect this universe by the power of the three energies and Maya, the Prakriti of Maya, the energies. And then out of that, there will be a superimposition or a reflection of Namarupas, of entire universe are going to appear in the subtle and the physical material universe. And all of that by his own power or his own good friend, Mr. Maya. It is entirely, and all its details, it's just a superimposition we see consciousness, okay? The individual encompasses his own creation with his ego as I dreamt this, I dreamt that. So does the Lord play with the universe. So we say that the individual projects or reflects the inner world in a dream state, creating a dream world by a certain power, okay? And Nidra Shakti, but we don't know. I mean, I never heard I had such a power before. So ultimately, you know, it's all Ishwara that somehow provides us with a certain power to project. And we say that it's my dream, I project, it's okay. So it is in its entirety and all details, a picture on the screen of consciousness. The individual encompasses his own creation with his ego, as I dreamt, I this and that. So does the Lord play with the universe, just as the dreamer is not to be confounded with the dream world, so is the Lord not to be confounded with creation. So this is an interesting statement, but it's clear on the other hand, because science tends to believe that all there is the creation, and the creation is self-contained. And if there is a creator, the creator is creation, or the atoms, or the 5 elements, or whatever, you know. So the creator is something so free and independent of the creation that should never be confounded with the creation. Yet the creation does not stand without the creator, because the creation is just a superimposition on the creator. So what was that? Let me close this one. So you guys, please interrupt me to make your comments or to ask questions or contribute. So the Lord cannot be confounded with the creation, the same way the dreamer is never going to believe that I am the dream world. Okay, and he does not even identify as the dreaming entity running from a big dog or a tiger or anything. He says, oh no, this is just, it's just an illusion, just a dream, just a projection. Huh? Just as a man survives the lion and the tiger in a dream, so does the Lord survive the dissolution of his own creation. So we come out of the dream, and the dreamer, which is the same Jiva-Atma on a different state, so it survives the dream and all the dangers of the dream. Okay, so the dream world disappears. So in Pralaya, at the time of dissolution, so we have the end of this dream, Ishwara's Maya's dream or Brahman's dream, you know. So the entire universe dissolves, and then what remains? I consciousness remains. Ishwara does remain as well as consciousness, as pure intelligence. Okay, so just as the dreamer remains after the dissolution of the dream, and the dreamer even survived the death. You know, like sometimes you are being killed. Sometimes we may have such a dream. I had a dream of being tortured, as I shared with you. But when we get up, when we stand up, when we wake up, we say, no, that was a dream. So the creator remains ever as pure consciousness apart from the body and the universe. So is the Lord unbounded consciousness apart from the universe, apart from anything free and independent. It's not, after all, only a picture drawn by him on his own self. So that Atreya is presenting inquiry to him. So what kind of universe is that? Okay, it is a picture drawn, but it's drawn where? On its own self. So it's rather better analogy, I find, the one of the reflection. Everything is just a reflection in the mirror of the self, the mirror of consciousness, the mirror of Brahman. And it's not apart, it's not separate from the mirror. And the mirror is something that was caused by this very intelligence that allows this apparent order of reality, which is just like a dream. How can this unique creation be apart from the Ishvara, from the, let's say, from the reflecting medium? Huh? How can this unique creation be apart from the reflecting medium? There can indeed be nothing but consciousness creating the Prakriti of Maya on which the universe apparent reflects. Tell me of any place where there is no consciousness. There is no place beyond consciousness. Everything happens within the scope of consciousness. This is the most simple statement. Nothing escapes consciousness because everything was created, is sustained, and it's destroyed within consciousness, yeah? By the power of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. Yeah? And everything is being soaked in consciousness. So consciousness is permeating, pervading everything. Nothing escapes consciousness. In our human experience, nothing escapes consciousness. Every and all experience we have through the 3 states or the 5 koshas, it's all within consciousness. No? There is nothing apart from consciousness. There is no place beyond consciousness. Or can anyone prove in any manner anything outside consciousness? Consciousness is inescapable. Any questions or doubt about this profound, subtle statement? Anything that we know is known by consciousness through the mind, Jivatma's mind, or human consciousness. Everything that is known, bringing this statement to a more practical level. Anything that is known and experienced is experienced through the jivas, yeah, mind or intellect, even on the with other animals and with the other rains, the vegetable rain and so on. There are jivas, yeah, they are capturing phenomenal experience all over the place. There is nothing that escaping this consciousness, which is shining in all kinds of agents, jivas. Yeah? There is nothing that happens outside of this consciousness. And even if there is no life, like they say, oh, there is life, there is no life in the moon, even if there is no life, there is consciousness behind the moon discussing whether there is light or no life in the moon, you understand? There is nothing in the phenomenal world that escapes consciousness. Moreover, this consciousness is the only existence covering the whole universe. Not only nothing escapes consciousness, but it's the only reality. You know, that's very important for us to understand clearly. And why it's the only reality? Because everything else is a magic show, you know, things appearing and disappearing, changing from moment to moment, you know, and when you examine a little bit closer, you'll see that things are not what they seem to be. Oh, Felipe is showing up here, I'm admitting. So what is the only existence? What is the only reality? Yeah? It's something that exists at all times, and something that not only exists at all times, but it also never changes an inch from moment to moment. Never, no change is possible. So this is the only reality. Consciousness, existence. Existence is the more philosophical aspect of Brahman, and consciousness is the more knowledge aspect of Brahman. Chit. Just as there cannot be waves apart from the ocean and light without the sun, so also the universe cannot be conceived without consciousness. No? So consciousness, the universe, the wave, and the ocean. So we have these analogies. We know the wave cannot exist outside the scope of the ocean. And likewise, any kind of wave, any kind of apparent phenomenal object cannot exist without consciousness, which creates, sustains, experiences, knows, and destroys every configuration. Therefore, the Supreme Ishvara is thus the embodiment of pure consciousness. We are on page 110. Verse 33. This whole universe consisting of the mobile and the immobile arises from, abides in, and it's destroyed back, resolves back into consciousness. So the universe, as we know, consists of inert and sentient objects. Some sentient objects are mobile, and some sentient objects do not really move. Maybe, I don't know. Most of the plants in the vegetable kingdom, realm, they tend to move a little bit, at least to capture some more light here, there. But we have what we call the universe of the inert objects that they seem to be, they appear to be inert and immovable, not animate, they don't move. But everything comes from consciousness, is sustained by consciousness, and resolves back in Ishvara. This is the final and well-known conclusion of the scriptures, and the scriptures never err. So the scriptures, if we are in the beginning, it's difficult for us to develop this kind of shraddha in respect to the scriptures. But with time, we go through all our suspiciousness and our doubts and questions, and then we see gradually, as we develop this understanding and this vision, we start really developing this shraddha based on our own analysis. We follow the analysis of the scriptures, but then the analysis of the scripture needs to become my analysis. And then it's my knowledge, and then it's my confidence, and it's not blind faith. And then I can say, no, I mean, the scriptures, they are totally different kind of knowledge. It does not seem to be coming from any human being. And they seem to have to be perfect in its assertions. The guide by which one can apprehend the metaphysical and the transcendental matter is scripture alone. So what is the pramana, the mean of knowledge by which we can have the ultimate knowledge known as self-knowledge? So every knowledge, it requires a means of knowledge. So let alone the descriptions of reality, or the descriptions on how creation came about, or the nature of meteor from the standpoint of a creator. So let alone all of that, let's go direct to self-inquiry and self-knowledge. So we need a Brahmana, a means of knowledge to know Aham Brahmasmi. And what is the means of knowledge? The only means of knowledge that allows us to know I am that Satya, yeah? I am that Brahman. There is none other but scriptural knowledge. Don't you agree? And without the scriptural knowledge, it's definitely things would be much more difficult for us in terms of developing a vasana for self-discovery, and freedom.
Yes, and you also need a teacher. You can't just read the scriptures.
Yeah, this is an important reminder. We bring it back, bring it up again and again, because as we know, if we are trying to read our way to moksha alone, we are going to be subject to a lot of misinterpretation and wrong conclusions, and we are not going to be able to clear our doubts, our suspiciousness, and we're going to be holding to our spiritual notions, past notions that did not really free us. All of that is going to make it very difficult for anybody to go all the way alone without the help of a teacher, a good teacher, honest teacher. Miraculous powers possessed by gems and incantations cannot be denied. So now the text here, that the Tripura is going into the realm of esoteric things, and mysticism and certain powers possessed by gems. So what does these gems mean here? Is certain stones, certain crystals, things like that, right? Or not? I will look here in my Portuguese book later on, and then I put it there, but I think it is about that. So all these seed powers, and they exist according to the scripture. It's not the goal of anybody, of anyone searching or seeking for liberation and self-knowledge liberation, but they are there. They cannot be denied. And they cannot be fathomed by a man of limited knowledge. What is fathom? Aspired.
Fathom means understood.
Oh, okay. And they cannot be understood, those phenomenal things, okay? Because the scriptures proceed from the all-knowing Lord, they partake of his omniscient quality. So human beings have very limited knowledge. They would never be able to bring about this scriptural knowledge. The being mentioned in them is eternally existing even before the birth of the universe. So what is the being behind all the scriptures? No, it's one single being which exists before the birth of the universe. The creation of this being has been without any material help. So it was not something created out of something else. It's something that was not created, but it was always there. This is the supreme God, which is unmanifest when Maya decides to have a good night of sleep. But it emerges again with the awakening of Maya or Brahman. God is the supreme, perfect, pure, and self-contained. The creation is not an object apart. It is a picture draw or picture project or picture reflect on the canvas or on the mirror of the supreme consciousness, which is the true nature of the creator. For there cannot possibly be anything beyond perfection. So there is nothing beyond this perfection. Well, Satchitananda. Imagination, on the contrary, is impractical. So the universe has thus originate only as an image on the surface of the mirror of the absolute Satchitananda, consciousness, Brahman. This conclusion is in harmony with all facts. So anybody with an honest intellect, with a huge inclination to go into philosophy, and with an expanded mind to bring about the transcendental into their exploration, is going to come to this simple conclusion, which is factual. You understand? The analysis presented by the scriptures, they leave us with no doubts or how to say, or distrust regarding its logic. The logic is so impeccable, but one needs to have an honest, integral attitude, and at the same time have to have an expansive mind to bring about the transcendental into the scope of one's investigation. You understand? But if you imagine that things are not according to what the revealed scriptures brought to us, you are traveling, you are dealing, you are living in the realm of imagination, and it's not going to be in harmony with facts. So the beauty of Vedanta is that we need to see the facts by re-examining the experience in a more dense level, and then in a more subtle level, things that we experience intellectually, mentally, emotionally, even sensorily, So we're going to follow this body of investigation, and then we come to the conclusion that it is factual, it's totally harmonious or truthful or to the facts. This universe thus originates only as a reflection on the surface of consciousness. So one of the things that clicked to me many years ago when I started getting into Vedanta was the understanding of the creation of the universe. And then I had a moment of aha, that cleared that to me, although I couldn't really elaborate it very clearly. But the creation of the universe can only be explained in one way. There is only one way for us to understand the origination or creation of the universe, and the way is that it's not really there. It's not really created. Understand? So if it is just a reflection, if it's just a mirage, how are you going to determine when this mirage began? It is irrelevant. Okay, we understand, even Vedanta gives us the material to understand that it appears and disappears, and we draw these parallels in our very experience that things appear and disappear, and the three states go cyclically, now appearing and disappearing. The universe also cyclically appears and disappears into the causal, universal, macrocosmic body of Maya, each water. So the idea that this is just a reflection, exactly like the dream state, makes it clear to us that this is just a reflection. And this reflection comes from time to time, the same way we have it in the micro experience of the Jiva Atma. And they come and they go, they come and they go, they come and they go. They are reflections somehow that appears in our micro medium, reflecting medium. In the same way, in the macrocosmic reflecting medium, we have the universe coming and going exactly the same way. So how are we going to understand the creation? By understanding that there is no creation really. There is an apparent creation. That's why in Vedanta this word is so important. Okay, Satya and Mithya. Mithya is altogether a totally different phenomenon that scientists cannot even come close to understand. It's not something that exists and it's real, and not something that does not exist and is absolutely unreal. It's something that apparently exists and is apparently real, because we can experience it, okay? And we can touch and smell and see it through our sense organs, no? But it's not really that. It's just like our dream world. It appears to us, but then upon awakening, we realize that it was not really real, no? So the awakening of the self-knowledge of the yoni is presented again and again with the analogy of the dream state as something that you recognize that the only reality is the light of consciousness that projects, illumines, reveals, or reflects this big dream of Brahman, this big dream of Maya. The only reality is the light of the projector, and I am the light of the projector. So, and then I know the only reality is consciousness, and anything that is projected is exactly like a projector on the screen of the cinema. How you say? I forgot the name. The screen, the mirror, the mirror see the screen now. Okay. Creation is like a magician's trick. And now that the prayer brings about more light into the nature of this universe, it's like a magician's trick. It is a city born of divine imagination. How beautiful. So as we know, if we imagine something, and the yogis have this power of mental concentration and imagination to the extent that it's said that they manifest things physically in respect to our sense organs or sense instrument. It's a magician's trick born out of imagination. Which imagination is that? It's imagination different from the imagination of a single individual Jivatma. We have our body of vasanas that allows us to imagine. And then in the night, often we imagine the world of our tendencies, our vasanas, our impressions. But here it says like it's born of divine imagination. What is this divine imagination? Is the macrocosm causal body of the entire universe, okay? Is the collective macrocosm causal body, which once everything resolves back into it, we have the dissolution of the universe in terms of its manifestation. But as we know, it remains latent in the macrocosm causal body of Maya Ishvara, waiting for another awakening moment, and then again it comes back into being reflect or project again and again. The same way it happens in our dream state. Divine imagination, vasanas, the collective mind of the universe, everything is in there. And this is what makes the universe eternal, because this imagination, it is a joint venture between the creator and Jivatmas. Jivatmas, they are going to imagine, and they are going to develop raga and vesha, and they are going to want things and want to avoid things, and they are going to be supplying these energies of desires and fears to this system, this divine intelligence, and the divine intelligence is going to put together and present this universe again and again for the sake of enjoyment of the Jivatmas that unfortunately is not going to enjoy only sweet fruits of samsara, but a lot of bitter fruits as well. O Parasurama, you are aware of the mental creations of daydreamers, which are full of people, life, and work, similar to these. Yes, so observe, you're very experienced, Parasurama. You are aware that everybody has their mental desires and fears, and they dream even during the day, awakening but dreaming, projecting, hoping, expecting. And we have full of people, life and work. There are also doubts, tests, discussions, and conclusions, but it's all imaginary, arising in the mind of so many people and subsiding back in the same mind. Just as castles in the air are mental figments of men, so also is this creation. It is a mental figment of Shiva. What is figment? I forgot.
A projection, more or less.
Okay. Thank you. So it's a mental projection of Ishvara, because Ishvara is the totality of, it's all also to be understood Ishvara as the totality of every single individual mind. All of that is going to feed into the collective mind of Brahma, or Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu, howsoever, the creator Ishvara. Shiva is absolute consciousness. Ishvara is, in its nature, absolute consciousness without any form. Sri Tripura is Shakti, energy, and witness of the whole. That being is perfect all round and remains undivided. Okay, the creator, we know the creator present here as the three states of Tripura. Yeah? It's project, sustained, and destroyed and recycled again and again by the power of the Maya Shaktis, yeah? The three energies and so on. So Tripura is this energy. Fundamentally, this energy is better represented as pure Sattvaguna, total knowledge, pure intelligence. And it's also the witness of the whole. So it is the intelligent, efficient cause, it is an energetic cause, and it is the conscious witnessing principle of the entire universe reflecting or project. That being is perfect, all round and undivided. It's not a part or creation. This reflection, this apparent Mithya is not a part. Time and space are factors of division in the world. Time and space are factors. We all have an experience of time and space, and time is going to create divides, divisions, separations. A time now, a time later on. We're going to go into now present, and then the previous present, now is past, and then the future is going to be the coming timing. So time and space are factors that produce division in the world. Of these, space refers to the location of objects and time to the sequence of events. time and space are themselves project from consciousness, how then would they divide or destroy their own base and still continue to be what they are? So the point here is that time and space is a projection. Everything exists within consciousness, depending on consciousness. So we say it comes from consciousness, it's project from consciousness. Consciousness remains unaffected, free and independent from any one of these phenomena, such as time and space. How would time and space affect, divide, or destroy consciousness, which is the substrate, the base, and still continue to be what they are? So if they would affect consciousness, and then their very existence would be affected. But no, consciousness remains unaffected. And here there is a passage that says time and space, space refers to location of object. So what is this deal of location of object? So the Ani sees the location of objects as the physical material universe, this physical material object that we see within space. And then we have object appearing here and an object appearing there. So locations of objects in the space. So United States and Brazil, they are located apart from one another, thousands of miles away, and so on. So we have space determining location of objects. And time refers to the sequence of events. Okay? But what I want to bring to this is that space, of course, objects, any phenomenal object experienced by us occurs in space. Okay, even very subtle conceptual objects occurs in space. Okay, nothing escapes space because space is so subtle within media that nothing escapes space. Any phenomenon requires space in which that phenomenon can be even conceptualized. So we have a location to any and all objects, and all of these different locations, in the end, once it is closely examined, it resolves itself in consciousness, in the mind of the Jiva Atma. The objects are occurring in the mind of the Jiva Atma, which is not apart from consciousness. Therefore, we can come to this direct understanding that my true fundamental essence or nature is consciousness. Everything that occurs as an object of experience occurs in space. So space occurs within my mind, and my mind occurs within consciousness. But have I ever seen space? No. At the most, we see air if we make an effort. Oh, the air is heavy, the air is humid, the air is polluted, but space is so subtle. We have never seen space, but we understand that space, by inference, is that element, principle, in which all the other elements can be experienced within space. Everything is there within space. So, and the space, what is the space? Space is a conceptual object that occurs in the Jiva Atma's mind. Okay, everything is happening in my mind because everything is happening in space. Everything is happening in my mind. And then the question is, resolve the mind on what? So how apart this mind, which captures space and every phenomenon occurring within space, how far it is from consciousness? Is it something free and independent from consciousness? Or otherwise consciousness being the very source of the mind is free and independent, and I want to be free and independent from the mind in which is space and everything in the universe is captured and experienced and known. So we have this deal of space, and then we have the one of time. Time is just a sequence of events that gives us the sense of time. We have space, we have objects of experience. The duration of an object of experience gives us a sense of time. When we experience something very good, time is not felt to be very experienced very slowly. Otherwise, it is experienced very fast because you are having a good time. But if you have a toothache, one of those big ones, time seems to be eternal. So we have time. Time is the experience we have, which gives us a sense of duration. And not only there are one experience, another experience, and then we have a sense of durations of experience in the interval between two experiences, okay? Which is says, oh, I have such a good time, I was experiencing almost nothing. I was in total peace. So we have these very subtle philosophical discussions all over the place about space and time. But what I want to bring our understanding to here, and that space and time, they're just factors or phenomena that is experienced in the Jivatma's mind. And therefore, it is experienced in consciousness and not apart from consciousness. And then space and time is just a reflection that occurs, in consciousness through the Jivatma's mind. And the Jivatma's mind is experiencing the space as location of objects and time as different events and circumstances. Some of them we enjoy and some of them we suffer. Time and space are therefore projected from consciousness. How then would time and space affect consciousness if time and space remains absolutely the same, never being affected? So if they would affect their souls, they would affect themselves, but no, they continue to exist as this apparent phenomenon, and which is another proof that consciousness is free and independent from any and all things it sources, it projects. Can you show the time or place not permeated by consciousness? Has any experience in respect to time and space? No? Any experience? Oh, that time I had this and this and this. Oh, in that circumstance or in that place, in that country, I have this and this and this. Can you recollect any time or space which is not permeated by consciousness? No, because consciousness is the source, and anything known is known by the grace of consciousness in consciousness. Is it not within your consciousness when you speak of it? So when you recollect a memory or an experience, it's happening within consciousness, even as you remember it. You are just recollecting and speaking. Consciousness is inescapable, as it was said before. The fact of the existence of things is only illumination of them and nothing more. So the existence of things is almost like an illumination of them. Consciousness, the light of consciousness that reflects, projects, illumines, revealing this world of lights, of objects, which are illumination of them. Okay, they are configurations of the elements that shines due to the grace of consciousness and being revealed and being experienced by the Jivatma. Such illumination pertains to consciousness only. The mind, the intellect is only a reflector that is going to illumine its own environment and illumining the object of experience, but the illumination pertains to consciousness alone. That alone counts, which is self-shining. Do we have any doubt about this fact? The distinction between I as the mind, intellect, and I as consciousness, and the fact that consciousness is the only self-contained principle, self-contained, free and independent, and self-revealing, self-obvious, self-shining. Objects do not contain the light of consciousness. They are illumined by consciousness. They are configured by consciousness. They are kept by consciousness, and they are destroyed by the grace of consciousness. But the objects are inert. They are not self-shining, meaning to say consciousness is lent to them by the grace of Brahman. Objects borrowed consciousness, in the words of Swami Paramarthananda. Objects are not self-conscious, they are not self-shining, they don't have consciousness which are inherent to them, but it is lent to them for their existence. Their existence depends upon perception of them by conscious beings. The existence of every phenomenal object depends upon consciousness for its creation, sustenance, and experience. And who experience these objects? The conscious beings, because as we know, Brahman is not a knowing, experiencing entity. Consciousness is self-effulgent. Not so the objects which depend on consciousness, conscious beings for being known. Okay, we'll stop here. I don't know, is Lynn still with us? It is. This is a lovely teaching. These concepts, I like it. And we're gonna get back to them. What's the day today? Thursday, no? So next Monday. So now I'm having good internet. I got a cable internet here, and I have my own source of Zoom. So I feel like Brahman, free and independent. Limitless Brahman with no internet problems or Zoom problems. We could have less challenge in scheduling our class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste. Thank you, my friends. We meet again soon. Thank you, Philippe. We meet again.
Thank you, Armando.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Alinda. Wonderful